These days I start by putting in all my water, about 2.5 cups of warm water. Then some sugar, a tablespoon. Some people might say that's a lot. I don't think that it makes the dough taste sweet. It does, however, help the crust brown at home oven temperatures, which are going to be lower than professional oven temperatures. That's our main challenge here. In goes a teaspoon of active dry yeast. Mix that up and let it sit for 5 minutes. Give that yeast a chance to rehydrate and to eat some of the sugar in there and to be fruitful and multiply. This is called blooming, and it is not necessary. The dough will rise regardless. The reason people do this is to help the crust brown at home oven temperatures. Gonna put in some olive oil, maybe that's 2 tablespoons or something. Some pros don't use oil in their dough. Again, I think that it helps the crust brown in a home oven. Then in goes a tablespoon of salt. Some people say that will kill the yeast. I think that it helps the crust brown in a home oven. Now flour. I use bread flour, which has a higher protein content than all-purpose flour. You can use all-purpose, it just won't be quite as chewy and stretchy. There's even higher protein flours that you can buy on the internet, but this helps the crust brown in a home oven. I start with 5 cups by volume. Sure, that's not an accurate way of measuring flour, but this helps the crust brown in a home oven. I usually just bring that together with a spatula or something, then get my hand in there and knead. When it gets so sticky that I can't really work with it, I'll sprinkle on a little bit more flour. I think that it helps the crust brown in a home oven. By the way, some pros would say if you're going to use oil in your dough, you should add it at this stage rather than at the beginning. They say you got to let the flour hydrate first before you introduce the fat. The problem with that is that it's hard to knead oil into a dough that's already gone smooth and elastic like this, especially when you're kneading by hand. I've done it both ways, and I think that it helps the crust brown in a home oven. All right, I've kneaded this for 10 minutes, and now I can stretch it thin without it tearing. This is enough dough for 4 home oven-sized pizzas, so I've got 4 containers here, big enough for the dough balls to double in size. I'm pouring a little olive oil into each. I think that it helps the crust brown in a home oven. The shaping doesn't really matter so much with a wetter dough like this, because it's just going to kind of go into the container no matter what we do. Then what I like to do is use the ball like a paintbrush to oil the inside of the bowls. In the process, the balls themselves get good and covered in oil too. Very efficient system. The oil helps stick the crust brown at home oven temperatures. It also helps you get them out of the containers later, and the thick coating of oil on the surface again helps the crust brown at home oven temperatures, because oil helps the crust brown at home oven temperatures. Cover them up, and then you could either rise them on the table for a couple hours and then bake them, or what I do is throw them straight out onto a cooling rack. Main reason I do this is, again, I think that it helps the crust brown in a home oven.